Welcome back to Watches, Whiskeys, and Wines, the channel where we explore watches, whiskeys, and wines, like we always do. Today I'm going to take you guys through a Dalmore 12-year. I'm also going to have this as part of a series of 12-year, 14-year, 15-year, then Cigar, Malt, and then finally the King Alexander III, all of the Dalmore series, obviously. I'm going to pair them with a few different things. I'm going to do like I always do. I'm going to take you, especially like I do today, I'm going to take you through a little bit of the history to learn about some fun facts. Also, we're going to learn about the aroma. We're going to put it on our palate and see what we think. I'm also going to go over the presentation of the box and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm finally finish up with some pairings, like we should always do, and I'm going to do across this entire series. I think it's going to be great. It's going to be a fun treat. I'm also even going to do a cocktail for you today. I think that's pretty cool. I know it's a lower tier whiskey that I've been saying that we should probably do some cocktails with. I don't see it as being a problem. Bear with me here. I know that you could drink it straight, and I always recommend that, but every once in a while, add a cocktail. I'm not saying you should do it with all of the different tiers, but I mean, for sure, you could do it with the 12-year. Why not? So I want you to sit back and relax, pour yourself a nice drink, and let's learn a little bit more. The Dalmore actually has a really cool story. There's a lot of really cool things that we're going to learn as we go along in this series. For now, I touch on a few different things. Alexander Matheson is the founder, and it's been in operation since 1839, the Dalmore. So it gives it over 180-year history. But there's actually some really cool things that have to do with the stag, this 12-point stag that's on this particular box and also on all the bottles. It's something we're going to touch on pretty in depth, so I'm going to cover it over the videos, and I'll probably touch on a little bit today as well as I give you some fun facts. They're located near the Cromarty Firth, which is like an area that's on the shore of Scotland, and they're considered the Northern Highlands of Scotland, so the Scottish Highlands. And that gives them their unique flavor profile, and those are the things that impact the production of the whiskey on a normal basis. So we're going to learn about that. We're going to touch on some of that today, but I'm really going to go in depth as we go through the 12-year, the 14-year, all the way over to the Alexander III. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the brand history and then a little bit about the history of the Dalmore in general, including the Mackenzie clan, and a little bit about the aging process that comes here with this Dalmore. What's nice about this was released back in the 2000s for the Dalmore, and they give it 9 years in American X bourbon cask, which gives it that vanilla, that honey, a little bit of spiciness that always comes from ex-American bourbon cask. Then they age it for an additional 3 years in Oloroso sherry casks that are basically 30 years old and come from Gonzalez Baez, which is one of Spain's most renowned sherry producers. So that gives us some more of that, I would say spiciness, and it probably gives it a little bit of like a dark chocolate, maybe even a little bit of tobacco. So that gives it some of the more layers and flavor that you want to get inside of your whiskey, because you want that layered approach. And that's what makes this 12-year so interesting. Richard Patterson, who is their master distiller, he actually has been there for over 50 years. He imparts a lot of that and really protects the brand, including this 12-year, and takes it very seriously. So thank you very much, Richard Patterson, for creating a great product. Something cool that you're going to see for all the Dalmores is you're going to see this 12-point stag. This actually comes from the 13th century. Colin of Kintail, who was, I guess, the head of the Mackenzie clan, he saved King Alexander III of Scotland. And when he saved him, King Alexander III granted him the right to use this 12-point stag as a family crest. And later on, as it was used through the family's history, and also the land was produced and the Dalmore was acquired and then used as a business, in the 1800s, this was still allowed to be used by the family to produce the Dalmore products using this 12-point stag. So I think that's really cool, and that makes this very special, and I love it every time I see it, and I think it's a really cool emblem. It's also got a really, really amazing history. Those are some of the cool things about the Dalmore that I love to touch on. But one of the things you have to think about always is you have to think about location. Being in the Northern Highlands, being a Highland Scotch, it has special characteristics that come from where it's at in the Cromarty Firth. You're going to have some of the sea. You're going to have like a cool temperate climate, and that's going to impact what happens with the wood, because you remember we've talked about this in the past. You have those casks, and as they get heat, they expand, and as they cool, they contract, and that is how the angel gets their portion. That's a little bit of the whiskey that evaporates away and also allows for the wood to expand and contract and contributes more and more of the flavor to the whiskey. So whiskey like this, that's in a more cool, temperate climate that doesn't get as warm and has some of the sea air, you're going to taste that come through to the whiskey, and it's going to be, I would say, a more sophisticated and subtle approach to how the whiskey is going to hit your palate, and you're going to smell those aromas. So that's something we're going to explore today. Let's go ahead and do our unboxing. Check out this presentation and see what we think. I like the purple box. I think the purple box is beautiful. It's got a little bit of a silver. It almost looks like a real silver. I like that. I don't like it when it looks like a flat metal. This is more like a silver, so it has almost like that feel to it that looks metallic, but doesn't look flat. It looks kind of shiny and silvery. I like that kind of stuff. Of course, it says Sherry Cask Select, which is great, 12 year. It's got some text on the backs. I always say read the back of your box, also read the back of your bottle. It says a royal heritage. Bestowed in 1263 by the King of Scotland, the royal 12-point stag proudly adorns each bottle of the Dalmore, encapsulating the distillery's regal history, which is they are regal. That's pretty cool. The art of the Dalmore. It's 180 years old, carefully composed spirit, and hand-selected cask from the world's finest bodegas and wineries are expertly curated to create a sumptuous and layered whiskey of legendary finesse. And the Sherry Cask Select, it talks about the 12-year-old whiskey, talks about the aroma, caramelized orange, ginger, and sultanas laced with honey. On the palate, dark chocolate with crushed almonds and a dusting of cinnamon, and finishing notes, sweet mangoes, panna cotta, and lemon sponge cake. So I like that. I love lemon sponge cakes. So looking forward to that. Unbox it. It's pretty simple on the inside. And then we're going to get to the bottle itself. And this looks like how you're normally going to see a Dalmore bottle. It's got, you know, it's a clear bottle. It's got its stag on the front, which I love. I love how it's raised up. You know, it's just feels good on the hand. It looks like a great gift for anybody that you give it to. They're just going to know this is special, and they're going to put it on their wall, and they're really going to enjoy it. I like the purple. I think the purple's nice. The purple, to me, is something that you should do, and it's something that you should have in your collection. I think that some of the other boxes they have are a little more simple, but you're going to see some red, you're going to see some purple, and you're also going to see some black. So their purple here is actually a nice touch. Let me go ahead and open it up. Got the foil as normal. It's got a black cork. That wasn't really that loud, but it was okay. Give it a smell. It actually smells great. Vanilla. Get a little bit of caramel. A lot of vanilla. The color's nice. It's got like almost yeah, it's got the sherry color. Sherry, it's not very golden. Almost a brown amber. Nice. Amazing smell, as always. Almost a little bit of cinnamon. Some honey. Some of that oak also. So now, I'm going to go ahead and put it on my palate and see what I think. Yep, cinnamon comes through. You're getting that bourbon flavor. You're getting the oak. I think it's a nice, well-rounded Scotch. It's got a little bit of a bite to it, not too acidic. I would say for smoothness, I'd probably give this a 6, 5.5, somewhere in there. It's not bad, but it's not particularly smooth. So, you know, that's just really up to the person and what they like. I'm going to put some pairings with it today. I've got us some popcorn that's got some caramel on it with a little bit of butter flavor. A little sea salt as well. Crunchiness. Actually goes amazing together. Wow. Unexpected. Really good. This is like a sea salt edamame. Dry roasted. Then I've got these great chocolate soda. It's like a cracker on the inside, like a regular salty cracker on the inside with chocolate on the outside. It comes from Peru, and it's just great. I love this. One of my favorites. Yeah, great combination. This is great, and then that cracker's great. I'm going to finish with the almond and sea salt dark chocolate thin. Honestly, these three together, wow. But hands down, this popcorn is the best with it. That caramel really, really accentuates it. I'm going to get this out of here. And now I'm going to make us a little cocktail. I'm going to take some ice. I'm going to take some Disaronno. And then I'm also going to take some Dalmore. And we're going to mix it up. So first, I'm going to pour my Dalmore. Give myself a nice 2 ounces. So that's one. Now I'm going to give myself a second one. And there's another way to make this. It's called a Godfather. And I wouldn't say this is a Godfather, but it's similar to it. This is going to have some amaretto, 1 part to 1 part, and then also some whiskey, some Scotch in this case. And you could do it with the rye whiskey. You could do it with the bourbon. You can also do it with something smoky. But I'm going to do it with this Dalmore 12 year because I think it's going to be an interesting mix that I'm looking forward to. I'm going to go ahead and give it a quick stir. And I'm going to tell you what I think. Let's see. I actually love that. That's amazing. You could do it with an orange twist. You can cut off the rind of it, get the oil off, or you could just get it with a piece of the orange itself. Try to get a little oil on the rim, put it inside. But this is amazing, something you should truly try. So that's the first part of this series. This is the 12-year Dalmore. This is a nice little mix that we made with some Disaronno. Something you could try out at home if you would like, you know. I want to thank you very much for joining me today. I look forward to you joining me for the rest of the series. Always like, subscribe, and share. Comment. I'll respond. I would love to know about other things you want to know about because I really enjoy this journey, and I'm glad you're here with me. Thank you.